What is up, Allie G Show fam? Welcome back to another track of the pod. As you all know, this podcast lives at the intersection of movement, mindset, and music, the highs, the lows, the comeback stories, the long training cycles, the start lines that change us, all of the things. Today's guest is someone whose story goes so much deeper than running. Mike, better known as MikeRunsMarathons, started running in 2018 after one of the most difficult seasons of life with one simple goal: to run for 20 minutes without stopping. Fast forward to today, Mike has completed all 6 Abbott World Marathon majors. Mike's run 17 marathons and built an online community that reminds runners of every pace and experience level that they truly belong and are welcomed. We talk about how running completely transformed Mike's life, completing the World Marathon majors, creating an authentic space on social media, raising money for charity, becoming a dad while training, and why the running community is so much bigger than just finish times. So lace up, turn up the volume, and let's get into it. All right, Mike, I am so happy to have you on the pod today. It's been a long time coming, as we were just talking about. I cannot wait to hear your running journey and everything that got you to this point and building your running community and just all of the above. So welcome to the Allie G Show, Mike.
I am very excited. Yes, we have been trying to plan this for, I think, like 2 months now. So I'm really happy It's finally happening.
It's been a long time coming. But why don't you kick us off and tell the listeners a little bit about who you are and where you're from and what you do outside of running?
Yeah. So I'm Mike. I live in South Jersey right now. I was born and raised here. I moved to New York City when I turned 18, went to college, lived there for about 17 years. And then my wife and I moved back kind of down here because she moved to New York City to be with me for about a year, hated it. And so we kind of made like a balanced decision of we'll be somewhat close to New York City, but like not in the city. We'll live in the suburbs. And then my grandma was also really sick at the time. So it was good to be closer to her when that happened. And so we've been here for, what's 2026 now, for about 4-ish years, I think. Yeah, maybe like 4.5. I'm not entirely sure. But we now have a house, which is really weird because I'm so used to living in apartments in New York City. And it's just really weird to have like my own washer and dryer and dishwasher, which up in New York City, you can say that you made it as a New Yorker when you have those things in your apartment or in your building.
Mm-hmm.
But I started running in 2018 when I was 30. I want to preface with saying like, I was not an athletic person at all. Growing up, I was in theater, I was in music, I was in band. That was me, all of that. I hated sports. And in 2018, it was like a whole culmination of things. It started at the beginning of the year of 2018. I tried to take my life. And then after that, I had my girlfriend break up with me, who I was with for about 4 years, thought I was going to marry her. And then I had an uncle pass away not too long after that, who was kind of one of the only father figures I ever had in my life. I was born and live with a single mother. Know who my dad is, but I've never met him. And then found out not too long after that I needed to have major surgery to stave off cancer, which ultimately failed. And then I needed to have surgeries for the rest of 2018 in order to make sure that didn't happen. But then what really got me thinking about exercise was a primary doctor told me that if I didn't start taking care of my body and start eating better, that I would have a massive heart attack or a stroke. And I've had several people on the male side of my family die of strokes. So that was like a real thing for me. So I was like, oh, I got to do something. And I didn't want to lift weights because when I went into the gym, I would always see like those buff guys who were like taking pictures of themselves in the mirror and stuff. And I was like 60 pounds heavier than I am now. And I was like, I feel so uncomfortable going into that area. They're just going to judge me. So I gravitated towards the treadmill. I'm not sure why, but I just decided that I wanted to try running. And when you press start on the treadmill, it automatically went for 20 minutes. And so I set out with the goal, I want to be able to run for 20 minutes without stopping, which took me like a couple months because I was, like I said, 60 pounds heavier. I had no cardiovascular ability. I had no endurance. Before that, I spent most of my days like sitting on my couch, playing video games, eating like Domino's pizza. Like that was it. And eventually when I hit that goal, I was like, well, what else can I do? So I ended up running my first 5K, 10K, and 15K on the treadmill, and then ran my first race in 2019. It was a charity event for NAMI, the National Alliance for Mental Illness. And
Mhm.
I got bit by the race bug, and then I didn't know about New York Road Runners up until that point. I was kind of like looking around to see what other races I could do. And that's when I found out about their 9+1 program for the New York City Marathon. And I wasn't going to do it, but I had a friend when I told them that I was like, I think I want to try and do this so I can qualify for. It was 2019. I was like, maybe I'll try to qualify for 2020. And I had a
Mhm.
friend tell me, you don't have enough time. And I took that as spite and signed up for 9 races in like 3 months and volunteered at one and finished it very quickly. And this was back before like the major running boom. So I was able to sign up for races like 2 months before, a month before. Now you need to sign up an hour after they go live, which is just
Mhm.
wild.
It's crazy.
And obviously, New York was canceled in 2020, so I ran it in 2021, and it was amazing, but destroyed me at the same time. I did not have really a training plan or anything like that. I didn't really know much about running. I bought the shoes that everybody else was using, the Alpha Flies at the time, and I didn't know I had flat feet. And so I finished until my feet were broken. And my longest run during my training was like 16, 17 miles. So I didn't know what happened after that. I didn't
Mhm.
really know much about nutrition, hydration, all of that stuff. And so uh, after I ran New York, I considered that initially my one and done, but I also found out around that time about the World Marathon Majors. And I was like, well, why don't I just throw my hat in the ring for Berlin and see what happens? I was like, I'll never get in. Like, this is just going to be wild. And I did, which was crazy. It
That's
blew my, like,
insane.
I woke up at like 4 in the morning. I think I applied in November. I found out the beginning of January. I woke up at like 4 to the email and I like started yelling. And my wife was like, what is going on? Because she was so confused why I was up at 4 in the morning. Um, and I was like, we're going to Europe for me to run this marathon. And like, if you had told me just in 2018 that I would be running marathons all over the world, I would have said you were crazy, let alone just run a marathon, let alone actually
Right, right.
run, just run. Um, and then I kind of cascaded from there. I never set out to run a marathon. I only set out to, run for 20 minutes without stopping and try to lose some weight and get healthier, with my cardiovascular ability. But somehow after that first marathon, I fell in love with it, even though it was so painful. And my pictures
Mhm.
can really attest to that because they're terrible.
Everyone's first race photos are terrible.
Oh, I love showing them to people because they are just so funny.
Yeah.
Because you think like I'm going to be so cathartic and going to look so nice and people are going to see the emotion on my face. I realized at that moment when I saw those pictures, I'm a bad crier. and
Yeah.
and they are awful. I look like I'm being shot, which is
Yeah.
it's just is bad. And yeah, it's somehow culminated me now running 17 marathons and completing the World Marathon Majors. And uh, I tell people if you'd see me back in 2018 versus now, I not only would I look like a physically different person, but I would have like actually acted and like around you as a different person too, because of just my mentality, my thoughts on life, and just my belief in the world now.
Wow. Well, first of all, thank you for sharing so much of that. I'm backtracking a little bit here, but did not know you were a fellow New Jerseyan. I feel like I should have known that. I mean, I just moved from New Jersey, but I've lived in New Jersey my whole life.
Okay,
Just made the jump to DC. It's a city I've
nice.
always wanted to live in. I've worked in New York. I've went to college in New York, and I'm like, you know what? I just need like a new spot to kind of get reacclimated. So that was one interesting thing. Secondly, thank goodness you're here. I'm so glad you found this positive outlet, and I'm so glad that you found a way to keep going and that you found something to get attached to, right? And you found something that you fell in love with that was going to help you get healthier. I think that's amazing, and I think a lot of people will love to hear that because, like you said, you started running for 20 minutes and it was just a preset, right? And I think that's kind of how people start in this space. Like before I even got the Peloton tread, I was like, well, I work in the city. I was going to school, interning for free. I was on the train at like 6:30 in the morning, and the only time I had was to run a mile every day. And like when I look back at myself then, I'm like, wow, a mile every day seemed really hard for you back then. And now I'm like, okay, on a Thursday, I'm running like 10 miles in the morning, right? So I think it's really important for people to hear how you kind of find this one thing, you get attached to it, you do a race, you keep going, and that 20 minutes just ends up being like the lowest or the least amount that you have done ever, which is no
Yeah.
knock on anybody, you know what I mean? But you have to start somewhere. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And we're going to talk all about the World Marathon Majors. I want to hear all about your Boston Marathon experience this year. I'm so excited. I'm so sad we didn't get a chance to meet in person, but I can't wait to hear about it. But before we jump into that, at what point, like in this whole journey or what you've explained so far, did you realize you wanted to like share this with the public or share this with people on Instagram? Like what inspired you to create a space where runners could connect and support each other and feel encouraged by, your journey and their own
Yeah.
journeys?
Yeah. I'd actually, the account that I have now has gone through like multiple iterations. It's had like 3 or 4 different names, and I started it maybe like 3 years ago or something. And initially it just started out as me just posting my runs. And that
Mhm.
was kind of it. I didn't really know what else I wanted to post. I had thought in 2024, I wanted to start posting content. And I kept telling my wife, like, all year, I was like, I want to start. I don't know what I want to do. Because I kept seeing all these running influencers, and a lot of people that I like interact with now, like I talk to online, which is crazy. Um, but I see all these people that are in the space already, and they have a voice, and they have like a specific, I don't want to say like niche, but like they have something that is theirs that they talk about.
Mhm.
And I was trying to think, like, I don't know what mine is. I don't know what makes me unique and different from other people that they'll want to listen to me versus like this person that has like 50,000 followers. Like
Mhm.
I had like 500 when I started. Um, and finally, at the end of 2024, I bought a camera, and this was kind of like me being like, "You bought a camera; it's expensive. You're going to use this camera
Mhm.
because you can't return it." And in beginning of 2025, I kind of tried to fight against that imposter syndrome and
Mhm.
started posting things. Initially, they were like intro to running videos of like, here's what a gel is, here's the type of shoes you should have, here's why your feet are important before you even start running. And they didn't really catch on as much as I'd wanted to. And, in my head, I was like, well, I mean, there's like 10,000 videos just like this online already with people that have a following. So it's not like I'm really going to stand out that much. And so I started to really pay attention to the space I was in. And that's when I found out, and I started to see like the, the spaces I was in, there was a gap between like everyday runners and the support that they had, especially
Mhm.
new runners or people that thought about getting into running. Because I saw so many posts of people being like, if you don't run a 7-minute mile and like with this heart rate, or if you don't finish a marathon, if you finish a marathon in more than 5 hours or 5.5 hours, or if your pace is 15 minutes, that's walking. Like all these people just making fun of other people who
Mhm.
just wanted to go out there and exercise, right? They
Yeah.
just wanted to do something for themselves. And so I was like, I don't the biggest thing that I don't like in life are bullies. And so
Mhm.
I
You and
s
me
s
both.
yeah, so I set out and be like, I don't want this. So, like, every single post that I would see, I would comment and be, like, really supportive, and that's kind of when I figured out, like, I think I found my space.
Mhm.
And so I started to, kind of make videos that were around that aspect, and a lot of posts that were around that aspect. And, I had shared some things about my story, kind of with some people. I've been on a couple of podcasts and talked about it a little bit, but like kind of only there. I'd never really talked to like my audience and told them what got me into running. Cause I've had a lot of people be like, oh, you must have run like track in high school and,
Mhm.
in college. And I mean, the colleges I went to had no sports teams because they were in New York City. So like there
Me
was
too.
no way I could have been on anything. And then in high school, I was in theater. So it was like and I also grew up, like, hating sports teams. Like, I never understood why people got into them because I was like, "They're getting paid millions of dollars, and you're paying hundreds of dollars just to go see them."
Yep.
So I never could get into that, but, when I finally was able to, like, sit down with some people and explain it to them, they were like, "Wow, like, this is intense," and a lot of people identified with it. And I
Mhm.
actually had interviewed someone for my podcast a couple weeks ago, and we were talking about her story, and I kind of shared like something that connected my story with hers, and I said my story very quickly, and she was like, oh my God. And she was like, I want you to talk more. And I was like, no, we're not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah.
um, but I realized that, not only could I be someone who could advocate for the everyday runner and the person who's new or that person who's thinking about getting the running but feels the imposter syndrome or the peer pressure, um, uh, to welcome them into the sport and to provide them with help because I a lot of the things that I post, I think about myself back when I first started and what I
Hmm.
would have wanted if I decided to get in the running now. So I
Right.
try to be that person that I wanted to be back then for me.
Yeah.
And so a lot of the things I post are essentially kind of to myself in a way,
Hmm.
but it's to other people. And, I've had messages from people being like, I really like your support. I really like the way that you post and comment on other people's stuff and the things that you create. Obviously, I still make like funny meme videos about running and
Yeah.
like to joke about it because I hate when people take it too seriously because none of
Hmm.
us are making a ton of money.
Right.
And so I I want people I wanted to create a space where people can feel like they could come to me if they have questions, they don't feel judged. Like, I was on a phone call yesterday with somebody who follows me who had questions about, like, charities and how do you
Hmm.
sign up for a charity? How do you find charities? And I talked to her for, like, an hour and, it was great, and the number one thing that I try to be when I make content is authentic,
Hmm.
and that was the number one reason she said she follows me, and I was like, "That means a lot to me because if I am not authentic, I'm not only lying to all of you who follow me, but I'm lying to myself because, like,
Hmm.
I don't wanna pretend to be somebody that I'm already pretending to be somebody at work, you know, in, like, 3 different places with family and friends.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
I would like to be myself with all of you. And so it's also been great with the people that I've met because they've been able to support me because I'm very open about, like, the issues that I deal with in life, and that's one of the big things that I
Hmm.
also like to point out is social media is all about the wins that people post. And
Yep.
I post about like, yeah, I finished the Boston Marathon, but like, here's all of the junk that came with it and that
Yep.
like caused so many issues leading up to it. Like, I don't sugarcoat it because I don't want people to think that I'm some like crazy, like athletic, mystical person because like I'm definitely not. Like, I have so many issues in my life that go on. And sometimes it's a wonder that I even cross these finish lines because I don't know sometimes how I do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's been like a massive whirlwind. The woman also asked me yesterday. She was like, "I want to start posting content too, but I don't know what to post. Like, how did you find yours?" And I said, "I just initially I started with just posting about thing running because I loved it. Like, I just wanted to
Hmm.
post about things that I like and to show my love for running, and that's still what I try to do." Um, but that's really what got me into all this was just I love running and I wanted to try to find people that I can connect with.
I love that. And again, thank you for sharing because you said something that I really connect with in saying that you're kind of speaking to your past self and like you're speaking to the old you when you post, which in turn like helps you now, but it also helps so many people. And I think in a world where social media can be super influential in a really bad way for a lot
Mhm.
of people, especially entry level runners and people that are just starting to get into, well, it doesn't even have to be running, like running, walking, exercising in some capacity, I think it can be such a negative space. And one thing that absolutely sticks out about your content is that, at least from my point of view, and I'm sure I speak for a lot of others, is that like you motivate people and you also include runners of every level. And it sounds like you're super intentional with that. And I know a lot of people appreciate that. So you're crushing it.
Yeah, I mean, I always tell people, yeah, Sebastian Salve broke 2 hours at a marathon, but, like, the important thing really is the person who had a family member pass away and they decided to start running to kind of
Mhm.
process it, and then somehow that launched them into running a marathon, and they may have finished it in 4 to 6 hours, but listen,
But they
it got
finished it.
them well, they finished it, but they also were able to get through this heavy moment by
Mhm.
utilizing running as, like, an outlet to try to support themselves.
Yeah. No, and I think that's amazing. And I love hearing about people's, experiences in that way.
Mhm.
And I think it's really awesome for people to see it from you too. right? And anybody that posts like genuine content on social media, I think is so helpful, especially now, because it can be a really tough space to navigate for a lot of people.
Oh yeah, I remember. I think it was like 2011. I like deleted all social media because I literally posted. I was like, all of your positive posts make me mad because
Mm-hmm.
that's all people were posting, and I was like going through so many issues at the time, and the social media thing got me because that's all you see is just people only want to post when good things happen,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like when started to make content. I said to myself, you're gonna post about like when the bad things happen too, because
Yeah.
like yes, I've run 17 marathons, but like you don't know about the surgeries I've had, the mental health issues I've had, the issues I've had with relationships with my family, like all of these things that have come up. I need to share them too to let people know that like I don't train 24/7. Like
Mm-hmm.
I have all these other things I have to deal with too, and somehow I still find time to do it.
Yeah. And you're a dad.
I am. Yeah. Yeah.
New
January.
dad.
Yes.
Congrats. Well,
Thank you.
relatively new, not new anymore. I feel like you're pretty seasoned at this point, I'm sure.
Oh God.
Um yeah, yeah. No, it's awesome. All right, fast forwarding here for a minute because I can't wait to jump into the marathons that you've done and the majors and all the memories. So backtracking and fast forwarding at the same time. Talk me through you waking up, you got into Berlin, you tell your wife you guys are going to Berlin to run this race. So that would have been your second of the majors.
Yes.
And at that point, you're on this journey of like, this exists. I need to keep going. What were you feeling? Like, obviously, besides the excitement of getting into Berlin, I feel like
It,
those days are over for a lot of people via the lottery of
yeah.
getting
Oh my
into
God.
races. But yeah, what were you feeling? And then how did it kind of unravel from there with the
It was like
majors?
a lot of disbelief.
Mm-hmm.
Like I had to read the email several times to be like, is this
This
a
real?
joke? Yeah, like
Yeah,
is this
yeah.
actually real? Because I never um entered a lottery for like anything really like that in my life. And so I was like, is this how it happens? Like I don't get it. And so I was really surprised that I got picked. And it also so that wasn't Berlin wasn't my second marathon. That was actually my third. I had during the summer of 2021, this was before I even ran New York, I had an aunt who was my uncle's wife. She passed away, and both her and
Mhm.
my uncle for a long time, they worked at the Disney parks. And so I was trying to figure out some way to like honor them, and my wife was actually the one who was like, "Well, what if you ran the Disney marathon for them?" And once again, this was before the major running boom, so
Mhm.
I could sign up like 5 months before the marathon and do it, and I did, and, I will say that that was probably one of the last Disney races I will ever do because it was not fun,
Mhm.
um, but, after New York and when I got into Berlin, it was kind of like "Oh, this is real, like, this is
Yeah.
serious now," and I'm the kind of person where, like, if I decide I wanna do something, I'm, like, gonna jump all in, like, I'm not
Yeah.
gonna sugarcoat it or like maybe like tip my feet into it and then like back up a little bit. I was like, I'm gonna do this now. Like this is my major goal in life. And, and so I had planned in my head, I was like, okay, so if I do New York 2021, 2022, I'll do Berlin, and then like maybe I'll do like one every year after
Mhm.
that. But of course, you know, I don't know what you want to call me. My I don't wanna say hardworking, I'm not hardworking. I was just like I was like
You're
really
hardworking.
I
If you
guess.
run
I was
marathons, you're hardworking.
I was so focused. I was like, "You know what? I It's either go big or go home." So, I signed up for
Mhm.
Chicago with a charity that year, which was 2 weeks after Berlin. Um, Granted,
Wow.
this was I had run 1 marathon, and I was still in debilitating pain when I decided to do this. So,
Mhm.
I don't know why I decided to do that. And then I had New York after that because I qualified with 9+1 in 2021 for 2022. So, I had 3 marathons kinda back to back to back. And then
Mhm.
I signed up for was that the year? It was either 2022 or 2023. I signed up for Philly as well. It may
Mhm.
have been 2022. So, that was, like, 2 weeks between Berlin and Chicago, and then there was, like, a week between New York and Philly. So,
Wow. Wow.
I was like, I'm insane right now, but I decided to do it still, and, I I was training. I started to get a lot smarter with like the stuff that I wanted to know about running. I started to watch a lot more running videos and reading a lot more stuff up about shoes, proper running form. I had a physical therapist, so we talked a little bit about that, and he helped me with kind of understanding what portions of my body I need to strengthen, and just decided, if I'm going to get in this and I'm going to do this and this is going to become like my thing, I probably should become a little bit smarter with it and not just kind of wing it. So like I got a training plan. I understood what gels were and what, I didn't actually know about salt yet, but I knew that I needed to eat something during the race.
Hmm.
Um, and about hydration and things like that. Like, do you carry water bottle? Do you just use what's on the field and things like that? And I got to Berlin, and um, my whole goal, like throughout my entire running journey, has been to break a 4-hour marathon. And Berlin, I was like, I'm going to do it. This is it. It's a flat course. This is like apparently like one of the fastest for the majors. I'm going to do it. And I had this issue for like a solid year or two where I would run a marathon, get to like mile 17 or 18, and I would get debilitating stomach pain. Like to the point where I would feel like I was gonna like have an on the runs incident, like a code what's it
Yeah.
called?
A code brown.
A code brown. And I was running Berlin and I had that issue happen and I finished in exactly 4 hours. And I was so mad about that.
Yeah.
But it was and then afterwards, I passed out when I crossed the finish line because I didn't know about electrolytes and things like that. So that was a
Hmm.
learning like every marathon I've done, I've learned something new about myself or about the process. And so like I learned about salt after that. So that's when I discovered like salt stick.
Hmm.
And then I also figured out it took me like 2 years to understand this, but I used to not eat before my marathons. I would have the fear of, you don't trust the fart after mile 20 and
Yeah, of
something
course.
happens. I had someone do that during Berlin. It was awful and kind of
Oh
gross.
no. Oh
Um,
no.
but
Yeah.
I was like, that's why I don't do this. But we figured out that that's why my stomach would hurt after mile 17 or 18 is because my body would start eating my stomach because I had
Hmm.
nothing left. And so now I eat the Kodiak protein waffles before races.
Me too.
We have a
That
little
or the oatmeal. They're so
oh
good. The
we we
oatmeal.
We have a mini waffle iron that has traveled the world with us, that my wife
Yes.
buys the instant mix, and you just add
Hmm.
water to it, and she'll make me, like, 5 or 6 of the small ones that I'll just eat in the morning, like,
Hmm.
2 hours before the race, and I'm good to go now, which is crazy, but, yeah, it was like, after I ran Berlin, I was like, "This is, like this is wild that I'm actually doing this," and the fact that 2 weeks later I ran Chicago, I was like, "What is going on in my life?" And then I ran London in 2023 and then decided in 2024 that I wanted to do Tokyo and then Boston. And I've run during my first World Marathon journey, I ran 4 of the World Marathon majors with charities. I ran
Love that.
Tokyo, Chicago, London, and Boston with the charity. And I finished my first 6-star journey in Boston in
Wow.
2024. I knew that was always going to be the last one just because I knew I wasn't going to get in by qualifying. And I knew how much money I would have needed to raise with fundraising, which surprisingly is actually much lower than it is now,
Hmm.
even though it was only 2 years ago. But yeah, it's been like a massive wild ride. Just like I never thought that I would complete my 6-star journey, and I didn't know that I would do it so quickly.
Hmm.
Because I've seen people that it took them 10 years, took them 15, 20 years, but it took me like 3.5, which just like is
It's not bad.
crazy.
It's crazy,
Um,
but it's not bad. You did it. I mean,
yeah,
you did it. You did it.
yeah. But I will say when I did finish, I was like, you talk about the post marathon blues after you finish a marathon. This was like all 6 of those races hit me at once, and I
Yeah, I
was
bet.
like, I don't know what to do now. Like
Hmm.
I'm at a loss of what's next. Um, but yeah, I have my medal right here. It's on my desk.
Oh,
Um,
that's so cool.
I just realized it's right next to me. But yeah, it was a crazy, crazy experience. And I remember I have a video of myself when I got my medal, and I was just sobbing. because I just like couldn't believe that I had done it. And in 2023, I lost my grandma. She passed away from cancer, and she was my biggest running supporter, like
Oh,
huge.
sorry.
We would talk before like every marathon. Didn't matter what country I was in or what time zone was. We would talk on the phone, and then after the race, we would talk and just she'd be like, "How'd it go?" And every race, "Well, how long is this marathon?" And so of course.
Mm-hmm.
And she would comment on like every single post I did, whether it was just a training run or if it was a race or a marathon, just like saying how proud she was of me. And my wife actually had a big poster made um, of all the comments that she left for me on like Facebook and stuff
Oh.
for I think my birthday or maybe an anniversary. I don't remember exactly. A couple years ago, and I have to hang it up still, but it's right next to me. And I carry her mass card with me now during every marathon. It's either in my belt or it's in my hat or something like that. So I know that I have her with me whenever I feel like I like can't go on, which usually
Mm-hmm.
happens at some point during a race.
Of course.
Um,
Always.
and so it became even more sentimental after that because like I was like, I can't believe I finished this. Like I dedicated the London Marathon to my grandma, and then like Tokyo was like the day it was like a year later to the day of when she like went into a coma before she passed away. Next year, the Tokyo Marathon
Wow.
is on the anniversary of when she passed away.
Wow.
So it's like all of these things like culminated, and when I crossed that finish line, I was just like, wow, I can't. It wasn't like just I can't believe I did this because I knew one way or another like I was going to cross the finish line, even if I had to
Of
crawl.
course. Yeah.
But I was just like, I I thought back to 2018 of like I I wanted to not be here anymore. And now
Mm-hmm.
I have this fierce urgency to live, and I have seen the world. Like I I've gone to multiple continents around the world that I never thought I would go to. I never thought I would go to Japan. And maybe I would have gone to Europe, but it's different when you actually have to plan to go there now versus
Yeah.
just thinking about it in your head. And just realizing what I had accomplished and where I'd been and what I had done in that moment was so like life changing and like shaped me into the person I am today because I'm pretty sure you've talked to other people about this, but running doesn't just help you physically as you do it longer and longer, it helps you in all facets of your life. And I was
Mm-hmm.
able to see in that moment just how much it had helped me besides just, getting physically fit and helping me with my cardiovascular endurance.
Absolutely. No, I love to hear that. And I think it's so special going back to your grandma that you get to carry her with you at every race. I love hearing about what people bring specifically to every race. Like mine is, I always bring a penny because my dog's
Mm,
name is Penny. So it just happened one day where I picked up a heads up penny on the street and I was like, I'm going to put this in my running belt because I was running. And it's been like that ever since. So anytime I see a heads up penny, the like last one I found is the one that I race my next race with.
I
And
love
it's
that.
it's just become my thing. Two of them actually might be stuck in my running tights because I accidentally washed it in there and now I can't get it out. But it's just a part of. But now it's like it's just become a part of me. So
Hmm.
I love to hear that you carry your grandma with you everywhere for every race. I think that's really special, and it does give a reason to keep going, right? Like you, I always think about I always say it on this podcast. I say it on my Instagram. I carry my people with me in so many ways because that's why I keep going. And you run for yourself and you run for specific reasons, right? Like you run as a stress relief, you run to be healthy, you run for, like people have so many different reasons why they run.
Yep.
And I think the people that you're able to carry with you are the ones truly that matter the most, at least to me, because it's why I keep going. It's why I love doing
Absolutely.
things. It's why I love showing up. I love passing, even though they know I don't stop. I love passing my friends and family during a race. If it's a goal race, I won't stop. If it's a not goal race, I'll stop, of course.
Hmm.
But you know how it is.
Oh yeah.
So I love hearing all that. So after you finished Boston and you got the 6-star medal, where did you go from there? And how did you come to those decisions? Because I know they're tough decisions to make.
Yeah, I went through like so many thoughts. I was like, do I run a marathon in every state? Do I go and run like a marathon on each continent? I couldn't figure out what I wanted to do.
Mm-hmm.
And I just decided I I could do the 50 state thing, but that feels like a lot of work
Mhm.
and it requires a lot of planning, and I don't know what the time frame would be. Like I'm also really impatient. So I was like, I don't want it to
Me
take
too.
like 20 years for me to run in all of the states because I'll be like almost 60 years old and I don't know if my legs will last that long in terms of like being able to have a decent finish time. And so I thought about it and I was like, I just really like the World Marathon Majors. And yes, a lot of people think they're money grabs and they're expensive and traveling and stuff like that is expensive. But I just genuinely love the crowds and I love the atmosphere. And I truly think that they are races unlike any other ones that are in the world.
Mhm.
I mean, I'm sure there's big ones that are not Abbott races. Like I've done Philly before, great crowd, things like that.
Mhm.
But I just feel like Abbott does like a top notch job with managing these races and getting everything set up, and they're so well known that that there's always going to be a crowd. It
Mhm.
doesn't matter if it's Boston, Tokyo, which people say is much quieter. I loved it because I thought the people there genuinely wanted to be there. Only one I didn't really like was Berlin, but that's because I just felt like the people didn't want to be there. And last year was just terrible because of the weather.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
like
I heard.
I yeah, I remember though when I ran New York for the first time, it was really funny. We're running over the Verrazano and I'm like, yeah, it's really quiet. Like I've done so many New York Road Runner races. I was like, there's crowds at the end, like a little bit, or like
Mhm.
along the way there might be some people, but for the most part it's like pretty quiet. So I was like, I'm gonna run with my headphones in, put my noise cancellation on and just like zone out. And we crossed the Verrazano, and all I could hear was just people stomping. And then we turn in onto Brooklyn, make that first left, and it's just a wall of people screaming. And I was like, okay, I got to turn the headphones off now. Like
Yeah. Take them off.
that was the moment where I was like, oh, this is what it's about.
Mhm.
And that's kind of what keeps coming back to me whenever I do these races. It's like it's the community. It's the people that come out and support you who don't know anything about you, who believe in you, who don't know you. And
Mhm.
that's why I love doing it. And so I just decided I'm just gonna keep running the marathon majors and I'm technically 1 star away from my second 6-star medal.
Yes. Which
And
one is
I
left?
London, which
Okay.
will never happen because it's impossible to get into London now.
Yeah.
But I think I'm also Um, after this year, I will be halfway through my third 6-star medal. Uh, because I've because of New York, I've run that 3 times. Boston, I've run 3 times now, and then Chicago, I'm running later this year. That'll be the third time, and I'm planning on running Tokyo next year, so that'll be
Okay.
4. And then I'll just have to do Berlin again, and then I'll somehow have to do London twice. I don't know how that's going to happen. I'll probably be like 85 or something by the time I get in,
I
but
mean, if they make it a 2-day adventure, what's your thought on that, by the way? Did you hear that they might make it a 2-day thing?
yeah, I mean, I don't think it's a bad thing per se. The only issue that I've seen people come up with is like, say you and like your partner or your best friend get into the marathon, but like one gets on Saturday, one gets on Sunday. Like, how
Yeah.
can you try to
Yeah.
manage that? And like, could you try to switch people? Could you move people around? Um, and I mean, I think it's also logistics because it's one thing to shut down a marathon for a day and then like after like 5, 6 o'clock, everything's reopened. But if you're
Right.
doing it the day before as well, you kinda have to leave everything up, and
Right.
so that whole area is still blocked off, like, traffic is just
It's going to be
dead.
nuts.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, like, I don't know what that will be like, but, I mean, if it gets more people running, I'm
True.
all for it, but
It's a
only if it lets
positive.
me get in.
That's right. If I get in and it lets more people get in, I'm down for it. If
Yes.
me and my sister get in on 2 separate days, though, I might be a little bit upset, but it's fine.
Yeah.
We'll
Yeah,
figure it out.
that's the only thing that I just, like, don't know what they would do,
Right.
but I'm sure they'd probably be able to figure something out.
Yeah. We'll see. We'll see. Well, I hope you get your second 6-star and I hope you get into London. That would be amazing. And then you'll be halfway through your third. So
I know. I it's
that's
cra
crazy.
Like, it was an accident. Last year, I ran 5 of the World Marathon Majors, and I only planned to
Wow.
run 2. I only planned to run Tokyo and New York, but then Shox asked me to run for them in Boston, and then,
Incredible.
I qualified for Chicago, and I didn't realize it until I looked at their website. And then Berlin, I got a late entry charity bib, which had
Wow.
a much lower requirement for fundraising. And so I was like, my wife and I were kind of trying to figure out what we were going to do for a baby moon. I was trying to figure out some way to get us back to Europe because I really wanted to take her to Paris again because we had done engagement photos there. And I was like, what if we did maternity photos there?
Yeah.
And so this was like my way of bribing her to be like, we'll go back to Paris if you come with me back to Berlin.
Yeah.
And she was like, fine.
Twist my arm, go back to Europe. That's so awesome. I love that. So, okay, so now, well, first of all, actually, talk to me about raising money for charity. Like, do you have a specific like way that you fundraise? Because I feel like a lot of the time when people realize they have to fundraise or when they join a race for charity or they get a charity bib, they like are like, oh my God, the fundraising minimum is so high. How am I ever going to do this? Like, do you have any tips for people on that front?
Yeah, it's crazy, especially if you do Boston now, because I've seen like I think the minimum now is like $12,000 or something. For me,
Yeah.
the minimum was $9,000, which was just like absolutely wild. But I think the first time I did it was Chicago, and I just kind of like there were two things I did. One, I just kept donating money on my own because I was like,
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
least there's a steady stream of money coming in that I can put in there. But then two, it was just like initially it was just asking people over and over again. I just need, can you donate this much? Can you donate that much? And
Hmm.
Chicago wasn't that much for me. It was only 1,600, which was like surprising versus what it is now.
Yeah.
But then when I did Boston, I'm really lucky because I started this Peloton Facebook group back in 2021, like the beginning of 2021. I just got my Peloton and I was on the Peloton like official group and I
Hmm.
saw people asking questions and some of them were like really basic questions because they were brand new and they didn't know anything. And I saw a lot of people making fun of them or
Hmm.
like being like, why don't you use the search function? Or I can't believe you're asking this question. It was really rude.
Yeah, it's really rude. I hated it. I actually joined it when I first got my Peloton and I left immediately.
Yeah,
'Cause
same.
it's a horrible space.
So I was like,
The
people
original
need,
group I'm talking about, of
yeah,
course.
yeah. And so I was like, we need to have like a more positive group. So I started literally, it's called the Positive Peloton Group. And I started it as like a one off. I was like, no one's going to join this. It's just like me kind of protesting against the official Peloton group. And it like exploded. It has like 80,000 members. And
It's amazing.
we like, we support one another in our fitness journeys, regardless of where you're at. And, celebrate each other. And I do have to say, like, I've fallen off a little bit. I used to schedule classes that could potentially join every week and stuff like that. We have Peloton a group in the app and things. But uh, my wife and I, well, she's the smart one. I'm not smart. She's the one who came up with the idea of why don't we do a giveaway in the group and we'll have people buy like raffle tickets and
Hmm.
they'll just just donate to your charity and they'll just say, $15 for one ticket, $30 for three. And, we'll just add that up and we'll do a raffle once we get everything done. So we bought like 20 to 30, I think it was like, it may have been more, maybe like 30 to 40 different things from the Peloton website. We bought like Peloton guides. We bought a bunch of merch, like clothing. We bought water bottles. We bought headbands, socks. We got some stuff from the Peloton store in, in New York. I think we may have given away a Peloton mug that we had from London. And like we did all of this stuff. We shipped it all out ourselves. And somehow, because I think by the time that we decided to do this was like December, and I was about to quit from the Boston Marathon because I was like, I'm not going to hit $9,000 by April.
Hmm.
This isn't possible. And then I found out that like if you did drop out, you don't get your money back. And so I was like, well, I'm already here, so I might as well just keep going. So
Yeah.
we raised in like 3 months, $6,000 or something like that, which was, it just
Wow.
blew my mind when that happened because I was just like, I cannot believe all of these people are supporting me. And obviously we have a whole thing on there about like, you can't post your fundraisers and things like, so we had some people get
Hmm.
mad at us and yell at us and leave the group. But I was like, I'm sorry, I made the group. I I hate to say that I get preferential treatment, but I get preferential treatment.
Yeah.
And I know that some people aren't going to like that, but it's just kind of how
You
the
can't please everyone, you
exactly.
know?
And we still have a lot of people that support the group. I had people donate when I ran for Berlin. I had people donate when I ran for Tokyo. We've done a really great thing. We had somebody who lost a child recently who loved Peloton. She was like 9 years
Oh,
old. It was really, really sad to see
it's
her go.
horrible.
She had actually um, she had leukemia, then she entered remission over the summer, and so, we reached out to the mom and we were like, "Hey," we do this for a bunch of people. We've seen people who were like, "I got diagnosed with breast cancer, I got in remission." We would reach out to them and be like, "Hey, go on the Peloton website, find anything under $50, we'll buy it for you and we'll ship it to you."
Mhm.
Um, and so we said to her, "Is there anything that you would want from the Peloton website, kind of to celebrate that she's in remission?" It could be anything she wants that's under $50. And she found this Lululemon pink water bottle. And so we bought it for her and she
Oh.
was obsessed with it. She took it with her everywhere. She took it to school. She showed it off to her friends and she had it with her when she was in the hospital again. And she passed away I think it was March, maybe February.
Wow.
But we all came together as a group and like we did a group ride for her. We had somebody contact Peloton who's putting an encore class on the Peloton bike. That was her favorite class, so people in the group can join and do that together. I believe we're raising money for Make a Wish now because that she was in Make a Wish and her wish was to go to Disney. Um,
Oh.
and I actually ran Boston with my grandma's mask card, but then they also sent us a dog tag with her picture on it that they had at the funeral. So I ran with
Oh.
that as well. Um, and so like people come together for other individuals in the group. And so being able to raise that amount of money was just like wild. But I digress. I love giveaways. I think that they
Mhm.
have been very helpful for me. I'm going to do some giveaways when I'm running voluntarily with a charity for New York this year, which coincidentally was the charity that I ran as my first charity race, NAMI.
Mhm.
So I'll be doing some giveaways for that. And but yeah, I would just say utilize your network and try to find ways that will help other runners if you want to get them involved, especially if you're going to
Yeah.
do giveaways, whether it's shoes, whether it's headphones, a watch, or heart rate monitor, what have you. I think that those are probably going to be, at least for me, the best things that will help raise the money that I
Yeah.
need.
Absolutely. No, I think that's going to be really helpful for a lot of people. So I appreciate you sharing. And fast forwarding a bit here, as we're sorry, I know I'm taking up all your time today, but I have to
You're
hear about
good. You're
Boston.
good.
This year's Boston. What brought you back, and how was it different from the last two Bostons that you've done? Because of course, the
Yeah.
one that you finished your 6 star, I'm sure is going to stick out forever and ever and ever. But what was special about this year's Boston for you?
Well, it's weird. Each Boston is really significant to me because obviously first one, 6 star journey was over. I raised all that money. But then the second
Mhm.
one, um, I didn't plan on running it. And I found out like less than a month in advance that I was going to be running it from Shocks.
Mhm.
And somehow I ran my third fastest marathon, which was about 40 minutes faster than I ran in Boston in 2024.
Wow.
So like I think I finished in like 3:16 something. I don't remember what it
It's
was.
amazing.
Um, which blew my mind when that happened. But then this year was special because it was the first Boston I qualified for.
Mhm.
So for those who don't know, I identify as non-binary. So
Mhm.
obviously there's people who have issues with the qualification times. I don't care. It just is what it is. I don't make the rules.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I was able to qualify for my age group and found out actually after the Berlin Marathon that I got in. We were in Paris, and
Wow. It's
uh,
awesome.
it was like a real big moment for me because I was like, I never thought that I would qualify for this race in my life. That's why I didn't. That's why I ran with the charity in 2024.
Mhm.
And then a couple months later, I think it may have been December or January, I got this weird message on TikTok, and it was from, of all people, it was Xyzal, the allergy medication,
Mhm.
and their profile picture is just of an owl. And they were like, "Hey, we've been trying to get in contact with you. We would like to sponsor you for the Boston Marathon." And I was like,
Wow.
this seems fishy. So we did some research and found out that it was their account. And I was like, yeah, I would love to talk with you if you would actually be interested in this. And they were like, yeah, we would pay you, to come out, and we would pay for your race entry, and you would be able to run the race. You would have to make a couple videos for us and then be involved at the expo a little bit. Um, and I was like, well, I've already qualified, so you guys wouldn't have to pay for that. I've already paid for it. And
Hmm.
they're like, oh, okay, great. So they ended up sponsoring me. I was on the team for the race, which was just crazy because I never in my life thought that I would be sponsored for a marathon, let alone the Boston Marathon, which
Yeah.
just like is why. And then this was also the first year they've ever done this. It's the first time they've been that I think they said they're the allergy medication sponsor of the marathon, which
Hmm. I think it is
I
the
think,
first year because
yeah,
I didn't see them last year. Yeah.
yeah, which is pretty cool. I mean, especially during the spring because everybody gets allergies during the spring,
Yeah.
and when you're running outside. But so it was special because of those two reasons. And what also made it really special for me too is being a new dad.
Hmm.
I I've gone through a lot of issues since December with my training. Well, kind of November. I went through some issues with my mental health in November. In December, I had surgery on a hernia that needed to be re-repaired that I had
Hmm.
fixed about 20 years ago. And so that put me out of commission for a couple weeks. And then in January, our baby was born. And so that kind of took my entire training plan and just threw it out the window. So I was like running
Yeah.
whenever I could. I was running at like 2 in the morning, midnight,
Wow.
9 at night. Like it was all over the place. And so I went into this race probably the most nervous that I've ever been for any marathon that I've ever run.
Hmm.
I was like, I don't know if I'm going to be able to get a good time, let alone finish, because I ran 20 miles, but it wasn't the best training
Yeah.
run. And there were weeks where I only got like 11 miles in or 20 miles in for the week, and it's like someone whose PR is like 3:11, and they were hoping to stick around that. Running 20 miles a week is not really going to cut it. So I went into the race kind of really scared. I also found out that I had tendonitis at the beginning of April on the lateral side of my foot, which I've never had before. So I was in pain every time I was walking. Then my daughter got sick. I was in the hospital for a few days at the beginning of April. She got RSV, and then I got sick from
Oh.
that. So then I got a sinus infection, and I was on antibiotics and steroids until pretty much we got to Boston. Um, so I got to the starting line being like, I'm nervous.
Yeah.
And what's crazy is as soon as I crossed the starting line, I like locked in. And for the first 19 miles, I was on track for a PR.
Hmm.
It was wild. I was looking at my watch. I was like, this is telling me I'm going to finish in like 3:09. I don't understand what's going on.
Yeah.
And after that, we hit the Newton Hills and Heartbreak Hill. And I was like, I'm tired now. I'm
Yeah.
exhausted. And
Hmm.
so I kind of ran walk the last couple miles, and I was I saw the finish line, you turn left on Boylston Street, and I was running towards it. And at this point, I was like, I don't care what my finish time is. It's there. I'm gonna finish. Let me just
Hmm.
get this done with. And I saw to my right as I was getting, it was about 400 meters from the finish line. I saw this guy who was trying to help this girl. She had like legitimately passed out, and he was like trying to like pull her. And
Hmm.
I was like, "Hey, do you need help?" And so I got on the right side, and we basically just like held her up and crossed the finish line with her walking
Wow.
all together. And I'd never done that before, and
Hmm.
it felt really great to be able to help someone get across the finish line. Who, especially at Boston, you see the videos all the time with just the camaraderie, and you know, with that race, there's like no runner left behind. You get across that finish line no matter what. And so being able to help that person achieve that goal was really special to me because
Hmm.
I like I put myself in that position. If I was passed out and so close to the finish line, like I said to my wife, I would want someone drag me by my foot. I don't care. I'm getting
Yeah.
across that
Hmm.
finish line no matter what. So I was like, I'm going to help this person, and I don't want them to, not to get like disqualified because a medic had to grab them or something. So I was really happy to do that, and I still finished in just under 3:30, which was really surprising for me because I genuinely did not know what my finish time was.
Hmm.
Um, and so yeah, it was a really surreal moment because I was like, I was so scared for this marathon, but the fitness was still there. I didn't trust myself, and I had the imposter syndrome, and I beat myself up, and but I still, had mostly a really great race, and then got tired, which was expected for me, and
Mhm.
then to finish with the time that I did, like I feel like I don't deserve it because of everything that I've dealt with my training plan for the last couple months. But the struggle now has been since I've had Boston, I feel like I'm learning how to run all over again. My running capabilities are terrible now. I went for a 5-mile run earlier today with intervals, and I could barely get through one of them.
Yeah.
And so it's been a nightmare the last 2 weeks trying to run. And but it was a really special Boston, and it was really great because my wife was initially not going to go because we were, the baby's going to be 3 months old. We're not sure how she's going to be and what it's going to be like, but she decided that she was to come anyway, and we had a good weekend together. And she was able to. They weren't at the finish line, but they were at the Dick's Sporting Goods right next to it, and so
Oh, okay. So
I was able
close.
to, yeah. So I was able to meet them, and we got some really nice pictures together. I got her them matching shirts that said, my wife said Mike's Boston Running Crew, and the daughter said Daddy's Boston Running Crew. So I thought that
Oh,
was really cute. I bought her like a blue and gold tutu, and so she had outfits to wear throughout the entire weekend. Um, and I got to meet some of the people that I follow and who follow me, and that was really awesome. And they got to meet Lulu, who they've seen pictures of and videos of. So it was like a really like really nice moment that brought everything together. And it was also like last year I'd started posting content, but I think I was still in like the infancy of my account. This year, I felt like I don't know, like it. I don't want to say I was an influencer because I hate that term, but I was a
yeah.
content creator. I was a content creator,
Mhm. Mhm.
and I felt like I was like, I can't believe that I can call myself that and be at this marathon in this race.
Yeah.
And had people, I had somebody message me and they'd be like, I saw you, but I was too afraid to come up and say hi. And I was like,
What?
me?
Yeah. That is so it just sounds so special. I literally and I have chills like thinking about the picture that I saw of you helping the two of you guys helping, you know, that girl over the finish line. I as just as you said, like I would want someone to do that for me and I've seen it. I've seen people collapse right at my feet. And
Hmm.
so I mean, when it happened to me, the medic was like literally standing right there and he was like, just keep going. And I was like, okay, sometimes less hands is better. But in that case, I loved seeing that picture. I didn't love the situation for the girl, of course, but I loved seeing that picture of you helping her because I just think at the end of the day, like goals kind of do go out the window. I know I'm going to
Hmm.
get so much hate for saying that, but at the end of the day, when all is said and done and you are literally a quarter mile from the finish line, like yeah, if you're sprinting to the finish and because you're about to hit your goal, okay, but at the same time like it kind of just goes out the window because you literally never know what's going to happen and it's about that camaraderie that's what makes it marathon day in my opinion, and that's what makes it special, and it's something I see at Boston every year, and it's something that always gives me chills because people will always like at like one of the races that everybody is going for it pretty much, and you hear people talk about their goals with Boston every single year. Like it's so nice to see people come together in that way, and it's really cool you got to run with Zizal. I didn't know the owl had an actual name. I kept calling him
Yeah.
Zizy at the expo because I didn't know his name. So I was like, come here, Zizy. But they had a good booth, and it's just really really awesome that you got to have that
Yeah.
experience.
Yeah. And it was also nice because I got to meet a bunch of other content creators and I learned a lot from them, from what they post.
Hmm.
And that's also what made me realize like I should post more of like my life itself and my journey and my story because I post like motivational stuff and like trying to support other people, but I was like, people should probably know who I am if they want to like actually trust me and take what I'm trying to say to them to heart.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's funny actually you say about the plans when you run a marathon because I spoke to someone a couple months ago about when you run a race like this because as soon as you cross the starting line, it's like you could have the best training block, you could know everything about nutrition, have the best shoes,
Hmm.
feel great, and then anything can happen when you cross the starting line. You could trip, you could get hit by somebody. I saw somebody like who was at the very beginning of the Tokyo Marathon last year, and the spectator tried to run across the field and just went like smack dab right into them, and you could hear them collide.
Ugh,
And
yeah.
it looked so painful.
Hmm.
Like anything can happen. You could bonk with your electrolytes, your food. You could just have an upset stomach from the night before, what have you.
Hmm.
Um, and so you start with like an A goal, but you also need to have like a B, C, and D, and maybe an E or an F goal.
Hmm.
And that's usually what I do when I go into all these races. And eventually, the last goal is just get across the finish line.
Just, yep, every time. I say it all the time. Everybody's like, what do you do so that you don't get nervous? Or what do you do so that you can like ensure you're going to get your goal? And I'm like, listen, you could have the best training block, nail every single run, and you just wake up and you feel like shit. That
Yep.
could happen too. Or you wake up and you're just feeling a little sick, or I woke up this year and my aura ring was like major signs of illness.
Oh
And I'm like,
no.
oh, well, that's really fun. I probably shouldn't have refreshed that one this morning, because that was in the back of my head. I felt fine, but it was like, you have major signs of illness. I'm like, great. But you just never know. And to your point, the second you cross the starting line, I always say this to people too, the second you cross the starting line and you start getting into like miles 2, 3, 4, 5, you're going to know exactly how you're feeling, and you're going to
Hmm.
have a better understanding of what the day is going to be like. And yeah, I also always say to just like try to relieve that pressure, because I ran my fastest marathon this year in the training block for Boston, because I was like, well, one of my friends got injured, unfortunately, and he couldn't run. And he's like, do you want my bib? And I'm like, sure. I bought the bib, and it was like 4 days before the race. And I'm like, well, I have to run 23 miles anyway, so might as well just run the 26. And
Wow.
I PR'd, and I had the best race ever, because I wasn't even thinking. Like, I just was
Yeah.
like, just, just go. And if you
Hmm.
feel good, try to maintain. If you don't feel good, okay. Like everything we're doing, to your point before, like we're not making a ton of money. So you
Hmm.
got to have fun with it. You got to have
Yeah.
fun with it.
I always tell
So,
people like if you get to the point where you feel like you have to do this rather than thinking you get to do this, it's
mhm.
time to readjust your running journey or goals because you're taking the fun out of it now.
100%. This is a perfect segue into one of my favorite segments on the podcast that I started doing earlier this year. I call it the hot lap.
Mm,
And I know we've talked about a bunch of different running takes, but do you have a running hot take you want to share? It can be something
I do.
overrated, underrated, controversial. Let me hear it.
I I think that charity runners are more impressive and more important than qualifiers.
I love to hear that. We love charity runners on this podcast. And I agree. I think at the end of the day, like, I don't, we've talked a ton about this on our track here, but I think nobody deserves shade for signing up for anything
Yep.
ever, right? Like, I think when people do this continuously, and for people like you who have run 17 marathons, like, I'm sure you've had difficult days, you've had great days, and
Hmm.
it's all a process. And you've raised money for charity, you all have also qualified, and it's like everybody's doing the same thing at the end of the day. It's the same amount of miles, whether you're running, walking, crawling, jumping, skipping.
Hmm.
Like, I everybody deserves a place, and if you sign up to race for charity, you deserve a spot there. And
Absolutely.
I
And
can't stand the shade.
you're essentially taking on a second job because you have to raise these
Yeah.
funds. There's a girl I
Hmm.
spoke to I think it was a couple weeks ago. She raised in total $150,000 over the last couple of years for Dana Farber,
Yeah,
and
it's
she
amazing.
raised 40,000 I think for this race, this last
Hmm.
Boston, which
It's
just like
amazing.
blows my mind because I'm like, yeah, I raised I don't know, like 17 or $18,000 altogether for my journey, but I was like, that just blows me out of the water. And I give huge kudos to people that are able to raise that amount of money because that requires so much skill and connections and the ability to really like explain your story and why you should donate. And it just, I've, from being on the other side of since I've been a qualifier and I've been a charity runner, like I will take being a qualifier over a charity runner any day, primarily because of how difficult it is to raise money
Of course.
sometimes.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
hate asking people for money.
Me too.
Um, and so, like, if I have to do it, that's great. I love supporting organizations, but it's so difficult, especially if you run so many of these marathons with a charity, you get people that you constantly email that are like, again, I'm not
Mm-hmm.
giving you any more of my money.
Mm-hmm.
And so you have to like try to find a way to get around that. And it's really difficult.
Yeah. I can actually say this on the pod because this will come out after I officially announce it, but I'm actually running New York for Dana Farber for Team
Nice.
Skinny Pig with Dan Foley. And he's been trying to convince me for the last like 2 months to finally commit to it. And I was like, you know what? We're just going to do it. Let's see what happens. I'm going to
Yeah.
do it. But the minimum's like $10,000. And he's like, no,
Hmm.
we're going to find ways to raise the money. Like you can make it fun. So I have some ideas brewing. Um, but yeah, I mean, I know it's going to be hard. It's going to be like a third job on top of my two existing jobs
Yeah. Yeah.
and the
It's,
podcast, right? It's a
yes.
lot, but
Yes.
I love charity runners. I think it's amazing that we get to do marathons in support of charities, in support of specific people
Hmm.
through charities, in support of loved ones that people have lost. So I think it's great.
Yes, absolutely.
Lastly, before we talk about or you share where people can follow along with your journey or listen to your podcast and connect with you online, do you have a song you want to add to the Allie G Show playlist?
So my music collection is really eclectic.
Me too.
So so as I said, growing up, I was in the music and theater and stuff like that. So I grew up listening to video game music of all things, the most. And so I'm trying to see what this song is called because
You're good.
it's French. Um, and let me see where it is. I have it on Spotify. I have it like in a specific, here we go. Because it's, oh my God, I don't even know how to say this. Um,
Is it
so
is it in French?
it is in French.
That's awesome.
It is, I think it's the life, the life we love or something, in French, but it's from the video game Clair Obscur Expedition 33, which came out last year, and it like changed my life. But it's called like Un Ve Ta Mère. I'm so bad at French,
It's
so
all good. You could just link me on it. You
yeah,
don't even
I'll
have
link
to
it to
try to
you.
say
But
it.
like it's like 11 minutes long.
Yes.
And it's so like bombastic and in your face. It's a boss battle music, and it's whenever I hear that song, it like one, it reminds me of what's going on in the game, but two, it's like I feel. I always tell my wife whenever I get like a song like this, I'm like, I want to run. I just want to punch someone in the face. Like,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
get out of my way because I'll knock you down. And that's like what it makes me feel like. Those are the kind of things that I like to listen to. Because like I need, and it's fast cadence. I need something with
Hmm.
fast cadence for me because I like to maintain a specific, steps per minute for me to maintain my pace, and that's the easiest way for me to do it.
Yeah.
So I will link it to you because I'm afraid to try to say it again.
No, I won't make you say it again. Please link me on it. I would love to add that to the playlist. That's so awesome. It's so funny you said that too, because I feel like all of the cool songs from, I mean, the first band that's sticking out to me is like Simple Plan, or like I'm Just a Kid was always in like FIFA and all
Hmm.
these other games that I used to play. I mean, sometimes I still play FIFA, obviously. But like when I was in high school and like in elementary school, I loved FIFA, and I always used to like bump these songs, and my mom would be like, "Where did you hear this?" And I'm like, "Don't worry about it, mom." And it would be from like a video game because they have the best
Yep.
soundtracks.
Yep.
It makes the game so fun. But no, Mike, this has been the best time. Thank you. Thank you for sharing your story and being so open with me and with the Allie G Show listeners. I know a lot of people will resonate with this, and I just appreciate you sharing. So
I
thanks for
appreciate
being
you having
here.
me on.
Anytime, anytime. But if you want to share where people can follow you on Instagram or follow your podcast, and we have much more to talk about, and we can come back on and do another track, and maybe we'll
Absolutely.
do a little pod crossover. But yeah, please feel free to share
Yeah,
here, and I will link everything and share everything in the show notes. But where can people
definitely.
find you?
So I am every social media platform except for Twitter, at Mike Runs Marathons, all one word. And my podcast is called At Your Own Pace. And it started primarily as me interviewing runners and asking them questions to try to help people understand their stories and how running has been able to help them through difficult times and change their life besides just the physical aspect. But now I've kind of incorporated parts of like my story and what's going on in my life so that you can learn a little bit more about me. But I have people of all backgrounds. I've had people who ran their first marathon. I just had a Guinness World Book of World Record holder who is the youngest person with Down syndrome to run a marathon. I just got somebody who is a Paralympian who's going to be on it. Like it's all over the place. So there will always be somebody that you will find that you're interested in. Um, so yeah, definitely check it out. It comes out usually every Monday. Sometimes I might not get it out until Tuesday, but it just depends on how busy I am.
Story of my life, Mike. Story of my life, literally. No, well, again, this has been the best time ever. Thank you so much again. And I will make sure everybody knows where to follow you in the show notes.
Awesome. Thank you so much.
All right, Allie G Show fam, that's a wrap on today's track. Huge thank you to Mike for coming on the pod and sharing such a powerful story from overcoming incredible adversity to building a community rooted in kindness and authenticity. Mike is proof that running can truly change your life in ways that go far beyond the miles. I think so many of you are going to walk away from this episode remembering that every runner starts somewhere. Your pace never defines you and your worth in this space, and that showing up for yourself is always something to celebrate. So if this episode resonated with you, take that energy with you into your next run, walk, workout, or whatever challenge is in front of you this week, today, in the next hour. Do not forget to subscribe, rate, and share the podcast with a friend. It truly helps the show grow. And you can find me on Instagram at _Allie G Show. And make sure you go follow Mike at MikeRunsMarathons to keep up with all the miles ahead. As always, keep moving with purpose, keep chasing joy, trust the process, and remember, you are never running alone. I will catch you all on the next track of the Allie G Show. Bye.